morning and welcome, and good afternoon from the ones connected from Vietnam. We are live on GreenUs Project YouTube channel. I'm Gabriella Calderari, GreenUs Project Coordinator, and today we will have a webinar on waste management for public authorities. GreenUs is an Erasmus Plus project funded by the European Commission with the main aim of strengthening education on waste management and recycling processes in Vietnam. But a part of education, one of the main objectives of the project is to create new awareness on waste management. In order to do it, we identified at the very beginning of the project three main target groups and stakeholders groups, which are education sector, private sector, and public sector. Today, we will focus on public sector by presenting European experience about regulation and policies on waste management. And we will also have another event dedicated to private sector, which will take place in Vietnam in February. Today, we will have some experts from the European countries involved in the project, Italy and Poland, which will present us the legal framework of waste management. And then we will also have experts from companies explaining how they implemented business in this legal framework. Well, if you have questions, I invite you to write them in the live chat you see on YouTube. And at the end of each session, I will address the questions to the speakers. Well, now I will give the floor to Dr. Marco Ricci. Marco Ricci is a researcher of Sapienza University of Rome, is a lawyer, and he has a PhD in public law. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Marco Ricci, and I thank Dr. Calderari for the invitation to this event, and I proceed to explain the topic assigned to me, that is the Italian legislation on waste. So, let's begin by, by defining the concept of waste according to the Italian law. The reference source of law is the legislative decree number 152 of April 3rd, 2006, also known as the Environment Code. Article 183, paragraph 1, letter A of such decree defines the waste as any substance or object which the holder disposes of or intends to dispose of or is obliged to dispose of. It is necessary to specify that in any case, the waste is exclusively a mobile material good. Immovable goods, such as, for example, contaminated land that has been taken from a place in order to carry out a remediation, are not waste. To understand the exact concept of waste, it is also useful to distinguish the latter from two other concepts, namely that of product and that of byproduct. In this regard, in addition to the normative data, it is necessary to recall the indications provided by the jurisprudence of the Court of Justice of the European Union, whose guidelines are fully transposed into the laws of the member states of the European Union. As regards the difference between the concept of product and that of waste, we can recall what the Court of Justice of the European Union said in judgment of April 18, 2002, in case C9/00, also known as Palingranit case. The Court, in particular, stated that the difference between the product and the waste lies in the absence of prior processing operations and in the certainty of reuse without harming the environment. With regard to the difference between the notion of waste and that of byproduct, first of all, it should be remembered what is established by Article 184 bis, paragraph 1 of the Environment Code, according to which it is a byproduct and not a waste, any substance or object resulting from a production process whose purpose is not to produce the substance or the object. The byproduct must be used in the same or in a subsequent production process, also directly, without being treated differently from what would happen in the normal industrial practice. The indications of the Italian Environment Code should be read in conjunction with the assertion of the Court of Justice of the European Union, which, in its judgment of December 22, 2008, case C-283/07, stated that byproducts may only be configured in those situations in which reuse, including that for the needs of economic operators other than that one that produced them, so reuse is not only possible, but certain, proceeding from preliminary processing operations, and takes place during the production. In order to view the judgment of the Court of Justice of the European Union, you can use the link I indicated in the slide. So, in addition to a general concept of waste, the Italian legislation makes it possible to distinguish a number of specific types of waste. We can reconstruct a so-called waste taxonomy on the basis of two different criteria. Waste can be distinguished first by their origin. So we have municipal waste on the one hand and special waste on the other. Article 183, paragraph 1, letter B ter of Environment Code provides a list of municipal waste referring, for example, to the household waste, mixed and separately collected, to the waste of any nature or origin, lying on the roads and on the public areas, on public use roads and private areas, on sea and lake beaches and on the waterways banks, or to the waste from cemetery areas and from cemetery activities. The Environment Code does not provide a specific definition of special waste. However, we can say that the notion of special waste includes certain types of waste that the code identifies individually. This is the case, for example, of waste from construction, demolition, and excavation activities, which are identified by Article 183, paragraph 1, letter B quater, or again, of waste from agricultural, agro-industrial, forestry, and fishery activities, of which Article 183, paragraph 1, letter B sexies speaks about. The categories of municipal and special waste can both be divided into two subcategories due to the specific characteristics of the waste that falls under them. Using these criteria, both municipal and special waste can be distinguished into non-hazardous and hazardous. It is on the latter in particular that we must focus. In fact, the Environment Code at Article 183, paragraph 1, letter B bis, states that the non-hazardous waste are all of them that fall outside the hazardous waste category. According to Article 183, paragraph 1, letter B, waste is hazardous whenever it has one or more of the characteristics listed in Annex I to the Environment Code. That annex identifies as characteristics capable of rendering the waste as dangerous, for example, the explosiveness, the easy flammability, the irritability, the carcinogenicity, or the toxicity. It is important to highlight that with regard to the treatment of hazardous waste, a particular emphasis must be given to the precaution principle, which is enshrined in Article 191 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union. With regard to the identification of hazardous waste, the precaution principle plays an important role, as the Court of Justice has stated in the judgment of March 28, 2019, rendered in the cases from C 487/17 to C 489/17. In fact, the Court has asserted that where, after a complete risk assessment, the holder of a waste which can be classified either with codes corresponding to hazardous waste or with codes corresponding to non-hazardous waste, well, where the holder is in practice unable to determine the dangerous substances present or to assess the dangerous characteristics of such waste, the latter must be classified as hazardous. So, the next issue we need to address is that of waste management, starting from the allocation of legislative powers in this field. In Italian law, reference must be made to Article 117 of the Italian Constitution, which gives the central state the competence to legislate on the environment and on the ecosystem protection. This does not mean that regions that are the territory government bodies of immediately inferior level to the central state cannot adopt laws that have repercussions on the environment, and more specifically on waste. However, state legislation acts as a limit, impeius or in melius, for such regional laws. In this regard, it is useful to recall the assertion of the Italian Constitutional Court, according to which regions cannot dictate rules that, with regard to the environment, set both less restrictive and more restrictive rules in terms of environmental and ecosystem protection. This is due to the fact that only the state can make a balance valid for the whole state territory between all interests and matters that may interfere with the protection of the environment. Regions, in view of the result of this balancing operation, cannot adopt derogations from the rules established by the state. Let's examine now the allocation of administrative powers in the waste management field. As you can see in the slide, different levels of government of the Italian territory are involved, together with an independent administrative authority. The state, in the person of the Minister of Ecological Transition and of Energy Security, mainly exercise programming and coordination functions. One of the main competencies of the state government level consists of the adoption of the National Program for Waste Management. This is a strategic guidance tool for regions and for autonomous provinces in waste management planning. This program contains, for example, the national waste production data by type, quantity, and source, or a national plant survey by plant types and by region, and the general criteria for the identification of the interregional districts that allow the rationalization of plants from a locational, environmental, and economic point of view, as far as according to the proximity principle. Regions can exercise numerous functions in the field of waste management. We can mention, for example, the assessment of new collection system needs, or of existing waste plants closure and of additional waste infrastructure needs, that in accordance with self-sufficiency and proximity principles. Regions are also responsible for the approval of new waste management plans projects, for the authorization of existing installations modifications, and for the definition of identification criteria for unsuitable or suitable areas for the location by the provinces of waste disposal and recovery facilities. The waste management, as you can see, also involves two other levels of government, namely the provinces and the municipalities. Provinces exercise control functions through the exercise of inspection and investigation powers with the support of the regional agencies for environmental protection. Municipalities perform administrative functions of a strictly operational nature, as we will see deeper later. Finally, in order to complete the framework of administrative competencies in the field of waste, it is also important to remember that in addition to the territorial government bodies, an important role is played by an independent administrative authority, that is the Energy, Grid and Environment Regulation Authority. This administration carries out regulatory and control activities in the fields of electricity, natural gas, water services, waste cycle and district heat, and that in order to promote competition and efficiency in public utilities, as far as to protect the interests of users and consumers. The tasks performed by the authority regard in particular local structures monitoring and governance, municipal waste tariff regulation, service contracts standard schemes preparation, and quality regulation. By exercising these functions, the authority is able to reconcile the economic and financial objectives of service operators with the general objectives of social justice, environmental protection, and efficient use of resources. So, let's address now in more detail the issue of waste management activities. In this regard, first of all, we must introduce some of the guiding principles in the matter. We must take as a reference the indications of Part 4 of Environment Code, which includes articles from 177 to 266, and is specifically dedicated to the waste management. The articles on which I would like to focus in particular are, as you can see, Articles 177, 178, and 179. Article 177 defines the scope of Part 4 of the Environment Code, which is that of waste management and remediation of polluted sites. Article 177 identifies in particular the objective of the rules contained in Part 4 of the Environment Code, which is the protection of the environment and of the human health, avoiding or reducing waste production and negative impacts of waste production, and also reducing the impact of resources use and improving effectiveness and efficiency. Article 177 also states, as you can see, that waste management is a public interest activity. The general principles in the matter of waste management are defined by Article 178 of Environment Code. To the principles I have pointed out in the slide as an example, we must also add those of efficiency and of technical and economic feasibility. A particular importance must be given to the polluter pays principle, which is generally stated in the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union in Article 191, paragraph 2, while its detailed discipline is contained in two European directives. First of all, we must recall the Directive EU number 35 of 2004, as modified by Regulation EU number 1010 of 2019. On environmental liability for the prevention and remediation of environmental damage. The directive establishes a framework for preventing and remedying environmental damage, and it wants to ensure that the operator who causes an environmental damage or an imminent threat of such damage bears the cost of the necessary preventive or remedial measures. With specific regard to the waste matter, the reference discipline is contained into the Directive EU number 98 of 2008, as modified by Regulation EU number 851 of 2018. This directive establishes a legal framework for the treatment of waste in the European Union, and the directive wants to ensure that the costs of waste management, including those for the necessary infrastructure and its operation, are borne by the initial producer or by the current or previous holders of waste. Finally, Article 179 of the Environment Code sets the criteria of priorities hierarchy in waste management. That is, what measures encourage the options that guarantee the best overall result, taking into account the impact on health as far as including technical feasibility and economic viability. As you can see, the hierarchy places at the top the option of the prevention, and this reflects very clearly that the goal is to encourage the creation of a socio-economic context that, at the European level, should be increasingly inspired by the principle of the circular economy and less by the use of the option of landfill. On the basis of these principles that we have just paid attention to, we can now describe how it is organized and carried out according to the Italian legislation, the waste management service. First, we have to determine who is called to perform the service, and a distinction must be made between municipal and special waste. For the management of special waste, the market dimension prevails, and that in the sense that the producers of such waste use the services offered by private parties with which a special service contracts are concluded. Waste management is, however, still a public interest activity, so the operators to which the privates address must both satisfy the requirements and fulfill the obligations set up by the Environment Code. In the case of municipal waste, management is left to the municipalities in 98% of cases. So we can say that the public dimension of the service prevails. As I said before, I want to focus in particular on the urban waste management service, which can be carried out in three ways. There is, first, the possibility of outsourcing the service to third parties through a public evidence procedure, and to select the operator, the public administration applies the Italian public procurement discipline that is contained in the legislative decree number 50 of 2016. Secondly, the waste management service can be indirectly carried out by the public administration through an in-house company, that is, a private law company wholly owned by the administration and controlled by the administration itself. The third possibility, as you can see in the slide, consists in the use of a public-private company, participated by a public partner and a private one, and where the selection of this last one has to take place through a so-called double object competition that is finalized both to finding the private partner and to awarding the contract. Faced with these three possibilities, we mark that, considered on municipal base, competition represents the prevailing management award mode, followed the in-house awarding to public-private company, and then the insourcing management. So I pointed out that the waste management service is based on a number of principles, such as that of efficiency. Well, in order to ensure compliance with these principles, for the performance of the waste management service, the Italian territory is divided into a series of so-called optimal territorial areas, within which the service has to be performed. What is an optimal territorial area? This is a portion of territory that the Environment Code at the Article 202 requires to identify on the basis of physical, demographic, and technical criteria, as well as the presence of road and rail infrastructure that can optimize the waste transport, or of waste management plants already built and operated. The ultimate objective is to ensure that more territorial government bodies can carry out in an integrated way the public services, including that of waste disposal, and that by achieving genuine economies of scale and thus maximizing the efficiency of the service. Generally, the optimal territorial areas have a provincial dimension, but they can be identified on a regional, supraprovincial, subprovincial base, and that taking into account the territorial and socioeconomic differentiations, and in any case referring to the principle of proportionality, of adequacy, and of efficiency in relation to the characteristics of the service. With specific reference to the waste management, the identification of an optimal territorial area can serve to enable or the entire service cycle to be carried out, or to entrust individual segments of this, for example, singularly, collection, transport, treatment, or disposal. We can refer in this regard to articles from 199 to 206 of the Environment Code. Optimal territorial areas, according to Article 200 of Environment Code, are identified through regional plans as to overcome management fragmentation through an integrated waste management service. Each optimal territorial area is directed by an optimal territorial area government body, which is established by region and may have several shapes. For example, a non-economic public body or a municipalities consortia. So, one last profile that I want to examine before closing my speech concerns on legislation on waste disposal plants. There are two issues that I want to address in particular. First, what are the conditions for the construction of a disposal plant? In this regard, we must consider that the construction of a waste disposal plant is subject to the administrative procedure that leads to granting of an integrated environmental authorization. The latter represents a provision by which can be authorized the operation of specific types of plants, such as those used for energy, for production and processing of metals, and obviously for waste disposal. The integrated authorization is granted after the verification of the compliance with the conditions which ensure the pollution prevention and control, and also the compliance must be ensured with the environmental performances provided for by the best available techniques. With particular reference to the disposal and recovery of waste, Article 208 of the Environmental Code states that integrated authorization must be requested from the territorially government body, in particular region. The evaluation of the region is discretionary, may contain mandatory requirements, and more generally it is issued taking into account the need to respect the principles set out by Article 178 of the Environment Code, about which we spoke just now. The procedure for obtaining the integrated authorization includes an application phase, during which a project must be submitted. If required, the applicant must submit an integrated environmental impact assessment. We have a second phase of the procedure, that is that of the investigation, during which the competent administration can call a so-called conference of services. With the conference of services, rather than having to turn to several administrations in order to obtain the authorization of each of them to the project, all the competent administrations can express simultaneously their opinion in such a way as to arrive at the formulation of a common position to the region that will have to decide whether or not to grant the authorization. The final decision of the region must be taken within 30 days of receiving the evaluation of the Conference of Services, and in view of the fact that all the competent administrations have been consulted, the integrated environmental authorization replaces any other type of authorization given by a singular administration. As I said earlier, the integrated authorization contains all the conditions that must be met in order to build the disposal plant. And in the event of non-compliance with these requirements, taking into account the gravity of the infringement committed, the consequences may be those of the warning, with the individuation of a deadline for the non-conformity removal. It is possible to have a warning with a warning with an authorization suspension for a fixed period, and that where dangerous situations for public health and environment occurs. In the most serious cases, for example, in the presence of failed compliance with the requirements imposed by the warning, or of a repeated infringement which endanger public health and environment, the authorization can be withdrawn. So, let's look briefly at the second issue in the matter of plant legislation. That is, what are the programmatic guidelines for overcoming as much as possible the landfill? As we have seen before, landfill, as established by Article 179 of the Italian Environment Code, is the last option provided by the hierarchy of priorities in the field of waste management. In this regard, some programmatic guidelines have been adopted in the European legislation, more specifically with the directives contained in the so-called Circular Economy European Package. This package includes a number of measures relating, for example, to the management of waste from packaging, from batteries and electrical equipment. The directive, which is specifically finalized to overcoming landfill as way of managing and disposing of waste, is the Directive EU number 850 of 2018, which, together with the others directive of the Circular Economy European package, has been transposed by the Italian legislature. In fact, with the law of October the 4th, 2019, number 117, the Italian government has received the delegation to the adoption of some specific legislative decrees for the transposition of the European directives falling under the normative package on the circular economy. In particular, Directive EU number 850 of 2018 has been transposed by legislative decree of September the 3rd, 2020, number 121, which has made a number of changes to the previous legislation on landfill disposal referred to in the legislative decree of January 13, 2003, number 36. As you can see, over the next years, the European and the Italian legislator have set a series of objectives aimed at reducing more and more the practice of landfilling. Two, in particular, were the directions followed. First, the definition of quantitative targets for the reduction of waste placed in landfills. Second, the identification of strict criteria for consenting to landfill and the establishment of specific procedures for determining the suitability for landfill. The costs of these procedures of evaluation in most cases are borne by waste producers. I stop here and thank you for your attention.
So thank you very much, Dr. Ricci, for this very interesting presentation. I would give you just some minutes for eventual questions, and then we can move on to the next presentation. Okay, I don't see for now any question for Dr. Ricci. Maybe if you would like to ask something to him, you can write in the chat, and then we will read your question at the end of the session, and or eventually send you the answer via mail. Well, we are waiting for the next speaker, but she has a minute's delay, so maybe we can move to the next, to the presentation of Dr. Marek Kabaciński. He's the Deputy Manager of Department of Analysis, Report, Organization and Promotion of MPO in Krakow. Maybe we can start with the presentation about the policy regulation, and then we go to the company experience. Thank you very much, Dr. Kabaciński. Ok, che famo? So it seems we have some connection problem, but we are trying to fix it, so we just wait some minutes. Okay, so welcome again. We solved the problem and we can now go on with the scheduled program by delivering the presentation of Professor Emanuela Gatto. She is Associate Professor of Chemical Chemistry at the Department of Chemical Science at Tor Vergata University, and she is the CEO of SPLASTICA, which is a spin-off company dealing with waste management. She will speak about her experience as a CEO in the development of a business in the Italian legal framework. So, Professor Gatto, please.
Good morning. Thank you, Gabriella, for the kind introduction. And
Okay, again, a technical problem, but we are solving it. Sorry for this inconvenience. Okay, so please, Professor Gatto, the floor is yours.
thank you. I want to share my screen in order to show you a presentation about what I'm saying. Okay. May you see this, Gabriella?
Yes, we can see it.
Gabriella, may you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and we can see the presentation too.
Okay, good. So now I can start. I would like to thank you for the kind invitation, and today I will tell you about my experience in SPLASTICA, that is a university spin-off of the University of Rome Tor Vergata. And I just present me in a very short way. I got the degree in chemistry in 2003 and the PhD in chemical science in 2007. Then I was a postdoc in Sweden. I became a researcher in 2009 and professor in 2022. I'm author of 69 papers and 3 patents, and now I'm professor of physical chemistry for the material science degree. I'm also teaching staff member of the PhD course in Material for Health, Environment and Energy, and I'm the CEO of the SPLASTICA, which is, as I told you, a university spin-off. And I have been the scientific director of a PhD academy on plastic pollution and bioplastic materials. And in our lab, we work in using natural polymer as a primary source to realize sustainable materials. And we realize solar cells, sensor, and medical devices. In the last year, we are working on bioplastic, that is a hot topic in this moment. And now I will tell you my experience in this in the development of this material in the business field. So I'm the CEO of SPLASTICA. SPLASTICA is the spin-off which we want to use to realize a new generation of bioplastic material that are 100% biodegradable and compostable. Why now there is the need to do this? Because the plastic become a very big problem. In 2020, the plastic production was 367 million tons in the world. A ton is 1,000 kilograms. So we are talking about a huge production. And now only 9% of the plastic ever produced has been recycled. So most of it, that is the 60%, ended in the environment or in the rubbish dump. The plastic is a great material, but has a problem. It's not going to be degraded. So if we release it in the environment, it stays there for 100 years. So it is becoming a big problem. And we can see that we have plastic in our environment that is not going to be degraded. So we calculate that in this moment in our ocean, there are 150 million tons of plastic, so a huge number. And it has been estimated that every year from 4.8 to 12.7 million tons of plastic enter in the oceans. And this causes many problems in the marine life, in the economy, because the tourism can be affected by the plastic presence, on the human health, and also on the climate, because the plastic production produces a lot of carbon dioxide, which is responsible of the climate change. And the plastic comes to the ocean through the rivers. We have many rivers that give rise to this. And for this reason, we have a plastic island in the oceans, specifically into the Pacific Oceans. And what happens? It can be a problem for the environment, and that is true, but also for our health, as I told you, because we have the plastic in the oceans, and every day what we take from the oceans, we take the sea, the salt, and then we heat the salt. And scientific papers demonstrate that we have plastic into the salt that we eat. So we are eating plastic every day. We have also plastic into the fish. So through the food chain, we are eating plastic also in this case. So now we are talking about the directive that we have in Europe. Due to this, to the plastic problem, from the 2019, we have a directive that is the 904 that is going to reduce the impact of the plastic on the environment. So what have we done? We avoid 10 single-use plastic items to be built in plastic. We cannot produce them anymore in plastic, nor either in bioplastic. Which are these items? These items are cotton bud and sticks, cutlery plates, straw and stirrers, balloon and stick for balloon, food containers, cup for beverage, beverage containers, cigarette butts, plastic bags, packet and wrappers, and wet wipe and sanitary items. So we cannot produce anymore this stuff in plastic. And we are also going to reduce the bottles. In this case, the directive say that we have to use recycling plastic in order to produce bottles. And the target is to have 90% recycling for plastic bottles by 2029. This is our goal. And we have an interim target of 77 by 2025. And this bottle should contain at least 25% of recycled plastic in their manufacture by 2025 for PET bottles, and 30% by 2030 for all bottles. And we cannot use also biodegradable bioplastic, because in this moment we have green alternatives that are biodegradable bioplastic, but this material that we are on the market many times are not compostable at room temperature. So this means into a non-composter and not into an industrial composter, because they are not 100% based on natural polymers. For this reason, most of them are not permitted by the directive on the single-use plastic. So the solution that our company proposes is a new generation of bioplastic material that is called SP Milk. This material is 100% based on natural polymers. The production reduces a lot the carbon dioxide emission, and this material being based on natural polymer is permitted by the directive, and we are able to use it with industrial machines. And the name is SP Milk because in order to produce it, we start from milk. So we use wasted milk. With this, we can, through an eco-sustainable synthesis that we have patented, we can produce bioplastic granules that you can see in this image. And these materials are compostable. So we can throw away into a composter, and here they transform into a compost that is a fertilizer for the soil. I want to show you this into this slide. So we start from a waste that for us become a resource. And from this, through the eco-sustainable synthesis, we extract the natural biopolymers that we use as building blocks to produce our material, that is a bioplastic. This bioplastic can be transformed through industrial machines into product, and this product, at the end of their use, can be thrown away into a composter where we have all the organic waste. And here it is going to be transformed into a compost that is a fertilizer for the soil. And this fits perfectly into the circular economy field. So all of this is very important. Now, let's start to analyze the rules about everything we are doing. In order to use a waste and as a resource, we have a rules to follow in our nation in Italy. If we can use a waste as a resource, this is no more a waste, but we call it a byproduct. And byproduct are residue that can be used as raw material in the same supply chain or in a production chain that is also different from the one which byproduct is originated, like in our case. Starting from milk, we want to obtain a bioplastic. And the nature of this byproduct is regulated by the Article 184 present in the Legislative Decree 152/06. We have also other ministerial decree, the 264/16, and we have also our other circular in order to define better how we can define a waste, a byproduct or not. The problem is that we don't have a list of byproduct. So we should analyze case by case. So we a substance, looking at this directive, a substance or object which fulfill all of the following conditions can be defined as a byproduct and not as a waste. So the first condition is that it originates from a production process of which it forms an integral part, and the primary purpose of which is not the production of that substance or object. The second is that it is certain that it will be used during the same or a subsequent production or utilization process by the producer or third parties. The third condition is that it can be used directly without any further treatment other than normal industrial practice. And the fourth condition that the waste should fulfill in order to be defined a byproduct is that the further use is lawful, so the substance or object fulfills for the specific use all the relevant requirements concerning product and the production of health and the environment, and will not lead to overall negative impacts on the environment or on the human health. So it doesn't have to be dangerous for the environment and for the human health. In this case, a waste can be defined a byproduct. Now, in order to be sure that we can use the milk, we are using milk that is not expired, and we are going to use it while it is going to expire, because in Italy we have a huge production of milk, and 2-4% of it is wasted. So when it is going to expire, we can use it as primary source in order to obtain our material. Otherwise, we know that in one day it becomes a waste. So it's better to use it as soon that it's going to be expired. And we have also other rules that we have to follow. In order to say that our material is compostable, it should fulfill other directives. First, I want to tell you the difference between biodegradable and compostable. They are not synonyms. They cannot be the same word, but biodegradable means that our material can be degraded by the microorganisms that are in the environment and can be transformed into carbon dioxide, water, and biomass. And in this case, our material, we say, can be degraded. And the biodegradation can give rise in aerobic condition or anaerobic condition. When we work in anaerobic condition, we have also the production of methane. Compostability is something very similar, but we have more strictly rules. And compostability is related to the end life of a product. This means that our product can be turned into compost. And as I told you, compost is a fertilizer for the soil. And it's very important because compost is the ideal solution against soil desertification and carbon depletion, because we give to our environment the material that we have used. Our material is natural and is going to fertilize the soil. So it's very important to produce compost. And we have the rules that they have to fulfill in order to be defined compostable, the materials. That is the European standard, that is the 13432. This is for packaging. We have also another rules that can be applied for other material that are not in the packaging fields, but the two rules are very similar. The only difference is that one is applied for packaging and the other for general materials. And the other rules is the EN 14995. So now I want to tell you which are the requirements that should be fulfilled in order for a material to be defined compostable. So first is the chemical composition. This means that the concentration of the following substances that in general are heavy metals should be measured and should not exceed the maximum value defined. So the content of zinc, copper, nickel, cadmium, lead, mercury, chromium, molybdenum, selenium, arsenic, and fluorine should be below a value that is we have. Then this material should be biodegradable, as I told you, and the conversion should be more on 90% of the original material should be turned into carbon dioxide and water within 6 months. So we have a time. In order to be defined biodegradable, the material should biodegrade more than 90% in 6 months. Then we should have the criterion of disintegrability. What does it mean? It means that we don't have to visibly see this material in 12 weeks. This means that after 12 weeks, no more than 10% of the original material should be degraded. So 90% should be degraded, and we can just have 10% of the material that is not degraded, but it should be in very small piece because the test material should pass through a 2 millimeter fraction sieve. So we can have still a material, 10% of the material that is not going to be degraded, but this material should be very small and the dimension should be less than 2 millimeter. And furthermore, the quality should be very high. So we don't have to have inside the compost a toxic substance in order to impede the composting. And in order to do this, we use the compost where our material has been biodegraded in order to grow plants. If the plants grow, this means that in the compost there are not toxic substances. And in order to be sure that our material is compostable, and we are not only saying this, we need to have a certification of compostability, and we have authorities that can do this. For example, in Italy, we are talking to Austria and to compostable Italian compost CIC. And then they can certify that our material is compostable, and we can put a label into the material that is certified and is compostable. And we have also other authorities that can do this. And when a material is compostable, you can see that on the top you have these labels. So it's very important to read the labels. It's written that it is compostable and we can throw it away into the organic waste. So our material can be thrown away into the organic waste. Now I'm going to show you what happens when we put a disc of our material inside the water marine or inside the organic bin. Here you have the example. You have the disc of our material inside the water marine, and you see that it is going to disappear very quickly. So in the 50 days, we cannot see our material anymore. We measure the carbon dioxide emission, and we demonstrate that is going to be transformed into carbon dioxide. So it is going to be degraded into the sea. It's important to know that we don't have absolutely to throw away our material into the sea, but this is just to demonstrate that if it happens, it is going to be degraded. But it's important that it is fundamental to know that compostable material should throw away into the organic bin with all the other organic waste in order to be transformed into compost. So we do the test, but this doesn't mean that we have to throw away into the sea. It's important to throw away our material into the proper bin, that is the organic one. Also in the soil, it is going to be degraded, but it's important also in this case that into a normal composter, it is going to be degraded, so it should be thrown away into a composter. And in the soil, it is going to be degraded in 84 days. So we are within the 12 weeks, and we can say that we stay inside the certification. And when we throw away this material into the organic waste, we see that it's going to be degraded like in the soil. So we can throw away into the compost, and our material can be transformed into compost to fertilize the soil. Now we are not producing a lot since we are a spin-off, and we are doing industrial tests in collaboration with company in order to demonstrate that this material can be transformed using industrial machines. And we have a good production capacity, but as I told you, we are not in this moment producing a lot. We are just producing in order to do industrial tests, and we can obtain this material that is 100% bio-based and biodegradable, starting from milk. These are examples of products that we can obtain. We can obtain a gadget that Gabriella realized also for this project with the labels of the GreenUs project. And we can produce a sustainable and personalized gadget, also bottle caps for the milk, and also cutlery. So it's important because this material can be used for single-use purposes. And the characteristic of this material is that it is thermally stable compared to other bioplastic that sometimes are not thermally stable. It's compostable also into a home composter, so not only into an industrial composter, but also into a home composter. It is going to be dissolved in water marine, and it is going to be dissolved in the environment. But as I told you, it's very important that we throw it away into the organic bin. So not to release it in the environment. And then we have also another important analysis that we should do, that our production gives rise to waste as well. It is sustainable, but we have waste in our production. So now we are planning a big pilot plant, and in this plant, we are looking at a purifying plant using membrane, because when we have this waste, even if the waste are organic and not polluting, it's important that we cannot throw them away into the environment, because not every organic material can be thrown away into the environment. We don't have to do this. So even if it is natural and organic, we should purify it. And in order to do this, we use membranes. And we are always following the rules that, as I told you, that is the 152.06. And in order to do this, in order to throw away our waste into the sewerage, we should have a code value that is below 500 milligram liters. So it's important that after the purifying plant, this value is below this the target value of 500 milligram liters. So as I told you, even if it is important that our waste is organic, we should still purify it following the Italian rules. Now, I want just to quickly show you the team. I'm the CEO of this spin-off, but we have other people working in this, in particular Raffaella Rettieri, that is a scientist developing with me all the scientific part of this material. We have Graziano Massaro, who is a business expert, and Francesca Possidente and Valentina Armuzza, who are working with us in the laboratory in order to develop this material at industrial scale. And we collaborate with a company, as I told you, the Ometech in Italy, and also with other Italian authorities, and with the University of Tor Vergata. Of course, I'm a professor of this university, and also with Lazio Innova, which is an authority of our region who is helping us in order to develop this business. And we won many prizes, Italian and also international. I'm very proud of the Women Tech EU project, that is a project from the European Union in order to support deep tech startups that are led by women. Because as I told you, most of us are women, and I'm the CEO of this startup, and I'm a woman, and it not very nor we don't have a huge number of women CEO of startup in Italy and also Europe. So the European Commission is helping us in order to develop our business. And I would like to thank you for being here this morning, and I'm ready to reply to all your questions. If you are interested, we have a website that is splastica.com, and it is also in English, so you can read all the information also in English, and I can reply to all your questions also by email. You see my email address here. So thank you very much for being here this morning and listening to this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Gatto. Some of you already know her because she delivered a very interesting workshop within GreenUs didactic material. We have a couple of questions for you. Well, the first one is from Phong Ha Tran, who would like to know if we have any quality criteria regarding the origins and the quality of recycled materials in Italy. Since consumers in Vietnam often concerned on the quality and the safety of the recycled products.
Okay, the quality of the material is good. We are testing it with machines to determine the engineering properties, the mechanical properties. Of course, at the beginning, the quality of the material is not perfect, but we have improved in the course of the year. So now we have a material that is biodegradable and has good mechanical properties.
Okay. Thank you. The second question is for Professor Nguyen Chinh Gong. The cost of compost made from waste is higher than other resources, so farmers do not like to choose compost. What is a problem in Vietnam? Do you have any advice?
Okay, the compost may be expensive, but of course, if we produce at home, for example, in Italy, we can have an home composter, and all the people who has a field can have a home composter and produce their own compost. That's why it's important that the material should be compostable also into a non-composter, not only into an industrial one, because sometimes it may happen that material are compostable into the industrial composter, but not into the home one. And this material is going to be degraded also into the home composter. So it's cheap to produce it because we can throw it away with all other organic waste and to have our own compost produced by ourselves.
Okay, so thank you. And last questions. So Lee Trina, thank you for this informative presentation, and would like to know if bioplastic can be burned in an incinerator with conventional plastic after use.
Okay, we have today. I didn't have the time to explain you because bioplastic it's a big number of material. So I show you the example that are biodegradable bioplastic, but we can have also bioplastic that are not biodegradable, because the rules in Europe are that the material, in order to be defined as bioplastic, should be or bio-based or biodegradable, or having both the characteristics. So we can have material that are bioplastic because they are bio-based, but they are not biodegradable. For example, we can produce polyethylene that is, from the chemical point of view, identical to the one that we synthesize, but if we produce it starting from sugar cane, for example, we can define this material as bioplastic. So today I talk to you just about biodegradable bioplastic that are produced in general starting from biomass, so from organic waste of organic biomass. And this material can be incinerated, but I don't like to incinerate something, since this material is compostable. The most important way to valorize it is to transform it into compost, because as I told you, it's very important to obtain compost because it can be used as a fertilizer for the soil. So it's important to valorize this material in the proper way, that is not to incinerate it, but to obtain compost, fertilize the soil.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, Professor Gatto. We will have the opportunity to have you as a guest also for the event we will organize for private companies in Vietnam on February 27. So I invite all the people connected to follow the activities of the project on the website and to participate also in further events.
Yes. Thank you, Gabriella, for this opportunity, and thank you to all the people who attend this webinar, and thank you for all the people who ask questions.
Okay, so we can move on now to the next speaker, who is Marek Kabaciński. He's the Vice President of MPO in Krakow, and he will deliver two presentations. The first one about policies and regulation on waste management in Poland, and the second one, in the second one, he will present his experience as a company. So, please, Dr. Kabaciński.
Hello. Good morning, good evening. So I have what Gabriella said. I have two presentations. First about waste management system in Poland. So it's okay. It's visible.
Yes, we can see it.
Yes. Okay. Share information about waste management policies and regulation in Poland. It's very similar, like Dr. Marco Ricci said. We have both in the European Union. Because of that, we have very similar regulation.
And excuse me for interrupting you. Can you put it full screen? Because maybe we can see it better in the presentation mode. Just press F5.
Now it's better?
Well, we cannot see you anymore. maybe you can enter the room again. Okay, so we can see you now.
Ja jestem, dobra, dzięki. Na razie.
Okay, so now we can see you again. I don't know if you can hear us.
Yes, I hear.
Okay.
Okay, I try to share screen.
Sorry for the interruption before, it was just a graphical suggestion, but you can go on with the presentation.
So now it's better?
It is okay.
Okay, so share information about Polish waste management policies and regulation. So in the Poland, the first regulation was established in 1373. It was the name of the Wilkes. It was a lot years ago. Yes, it was the first European regulation in cleaning and maintenance of cleaning in the cities. It was before the Paris, before the Vienna in 14th century. So now, what we discussed before, our Polish system is based of the European Union law. We have three steps of the law: environmental law, European Union law, national law, and local law. In the Poland, can you see we have 16 voivodeship, 380 powiats, and 2,477 communes. So, directives of European Parliament and Council on waste management. Legal framework for waste treatment in the European Union aimed at protecting an environment and human health. It's the main rules of the European Union law. Waste management must be carried out in the way of that does not pose a risk to water, air, soil, plants, animals, does not cause a nuisance through noise of odors and does prejudice on countryside or places of special interests. So we know in the Europe we provide the hierarchy of the waste management. The most important, of course, is the waste prevention. All law is based on this rule, waste prevention. The next steps is preparation for use, recycling, other recovery process, and the last one is disposal. and the European Union law, Polish law, and local law is based on this hierarchy. We, of course, the extend this hierarchy. We provide this hierarchy to our law. Directive of the European Parliament provide some main rules. Polluter pays. The principle that the original waste producer must be bear to cost of the waste management.
Excuse me again. We cannot see the slides. I don't know if are you showing something or not.
Okay.
We can just see you speaking, but not the slides.
Now it's better.
Yes.
Okay. The next role is extend producer responsibility as the members of states of the European Union to ensure the producer of products are financially and organizationally responsible at the stage of the product's life cycle when it becomes a waste. The producer of the packaging material should pay for the treatment of these products. Producer or holder or waste must treat it themselves or have its processed by officially recognized operator. They must be licensed and regularly inspected. So, directives of the European Union specify the requirements level of recycling of municipal waste. And it's the main rules. The member states of the European Union are required to take measures to promote high quality recycling and wherever appropriate and possible should introduce separate collection system. Two main sentence required levels of recycling of municipal waste and selective system of the collection of the garbage. Of course, European Union, we discussed before about supporting sustainable production of consumption, encouraging to design, manufacture, and use of products that are targeting products containing critical raw materials to prevent these materials from becoming waste. It's a lot of the rules, but the national law in Poland, one of the most important is the Act of Waste. It's control and regulate the most important issue. They show the hierarchy of waste management methods, waste prevention measures, handling hazardous waste, waste management costs, collection and transport of waste, storage, transfer as disposal of waste, waste processing and installation and devices, guidelines for waste management plans, and waste records and reporting. It's the most important act on waste. The second most important national law for the municipality, it's act on maintaining clean lanes and order in municipalities. It's established in 1996. It's the most important for me, for the municipal company, for the mayor of the city, for the board of the city. It's this act, maintaining clean lanes and order in municipalities. In this act specifies task of the community regarding the maintenance of cleanliness and order, including the necessary recycling levels and possibility methods of calculating the fee for the municipal waste management. It's a very important things, because now in Poland we have 4 methods of for payments. depending on the numbers of inhabitants, depending on the amount of the water used, depending on the usable area of the premises and the number of the containers or bags. We have no methods paying for the kilograms, tons. No, it's depending. It's not depend on the amount of the waste. It's depend of the number of inhabitants, the water consumption, of the numbers of the containers. This national law consists obligation of property owners as manager as well as a person using premises in terms of maintaining cleanliness and order, conditions for conducting activities in the field of collection municipal waste from property owners and managing these waste. We regulate this act all duty for the owners of the property, for the owners of the householder, and the obligation according to the municipality. Of course, we have the third act, the environmental protection law. It's not as important as before, but it's show the rules for determining the conditions for the protection of environmental resources, the condition for introduction of substances or energy into environmental, the cause of using the environmental, duties of administrative bodies, liability and sanctions. And the national law, the next stage, the lower stage, is regulation of the Minister on Waste Management, Minister of the Environmental Protection. Of course, is more detailed information about the levels of the limiting the landfill of biodegradable municipal waste, methods of calculating levels of the preparation of reuse and recycling of municipal waste. It's a technical regulation for this main act. The next step of the national law is the National Waste Prevention Program. It's a lot of information of how we should deal with the wastes, the municipal wastes, hazardous wastes, the strategic objectives, development of the sustainable economy based on more efficient use of resources, building of conscious and responsibility society for sustainable development through environmental education, reduction of the waste, reduction of the amount of the energy, etc., etc. The more details regulation according to the local authorities. The next national law, it's National Waste Management Plan, as a detailed analysis of the current state of waste management, forecast of changes in the waste management, adopted goals in the field of the waste management, methods of monitoring, evaluation, the implementation, National Waste Management Plan. Can you see it's a lot of the regulation. It's a lot of the European regulation, national law, and we have the next stage of the regulation, local law, Voivodeship Management Plan. Commune and municipal law is not responsible for the prepare of the management plan. They only municipal is responsible for the regulation for they pass regulations for maintaining cleanliness and order, which contain detailed legal regulation applicable in a specific commune. So in the Krakow, we have the local law. Of course, we have the regulation of maintaining cleanliness and order in the municipality of the Krakow, and the rest of the resolution of the city council. I detailed 5, but it's all in all it's 7, 8 detailed about the behavior of the people, responsible for the owner of the property, responsible for my company, responsible for the city. But most important is the regulation of maintaining cleanliness and order in the municipality of Kraków. And the next very important element of this law, in the Polish law, is the waste database. This is the waste database operating in Poland since 2018. Is the IT system containing information about all path of the waste from the producer to the plant. It's record the information when we collected the wastes from the people to the sorting plant, for example. It's controlled by the minister from the Environmental Protection Agency. It's of course so it's in this system we avoid, of course, the wild garbage dumps, because all kilograms, tons of the waste, municipal waste, is controlled by the system. So in 2012 we have some breakpoint in the waste law. Until 2012 we have absolutely free market in the waste management in Poland. It's property owner decide about the methods of the disposal of the waste on the area and they sign the contract with the waste collecting company. They pay for this one, and the waste collecting company send this manage of these wastes, and we have no control about this amount of the wastes, the ratio of the recycling, because it's absolutely without the control. After in 2012, the municipality is responsible. Municipalities are responsible for the waste management system. Only, of course, in the range of the municipality wastes. The owner only pay the fee. They send the declaration and pay every month the fee, and all of this system is created by the municipality. So we have in the Poland two models of the management system. Of course, we have the municipality can use the tenders and select and choose the company to do this goal, this collection of the garbage and maintenance and management of the disposal of the garbage. But we have the second methods that it's the performance of system management task is entrusted to another legal person, and it's the non-tender mode in-house. So it's the example of the Kraków, where the municipality entrusts us all the goals, and we are managed of all waste management system in the city. It's the tender mode, the non-tender mode in-house. Legal basis for entrusting a commune's own task to another legal person in the in-house method is according to the judgment of the Court of the Justice of the European Union of November 1999, technical criteria. It's for us. It's the you should have the municipal company. 100% of the stakeholders belong to the mayor, to the city council, to the mayor, and we only operate on the Kraków area, and our benefit or profits it will be not exceed 6%. We have non-profit company, it's 0.6%, it's almost zero. And in this condition, the municipality can entrust to the company without the tenders. Of course, you have the principle obligatory selective waste collection in Poland. We on all the Poland, we have the same color of the bins dedicated to the separate wastes. Yellow bins or the bags is dedicated to the metals and plastic. Blue one is dedicated to the paper. Green for it's dedicated to the glass, biodegradable kitchen wastes, or the grass. The green wastes is collected in the brown, and the residual waste in the dark. It's the same system in all country. Of course, we have obligated to obtain labels of the recycling secondary raw materials. Up to 2020, we have another law. After 2020 from 2021 to 2035, we have absolutely different criteria. 2020, when you observe, it was only recycling rate is calculated according to the four materials: metal, paper, glass, and plastic. And it was the 50% demand in 2020. And from 2021, recycling rate is calculated. It's regarding to the total amount of the waste collected. Because of that, in 2021, we start from the 20% of the recycling labels. It's of course in this time at present we calculate plastic, metal, glass, paper, or the grass, kitchen waste, all of the municipal wastes. Municipal wastes is obligatory. Municipalities are obligated to obtain labels of the recycling of the construction and demolition waste. It's a Polish law. It's 2027, and still we have the same limit, 70%. Of course, more than 70%. Its opposite situation is to the biodegradable wastes. We can store these biodegradable wastes on the level less than 35% of the landfill. It's the Polish law, of course. And now, when we discussed before, Professor Gatto and this showed the same. And now we operate, and we are waiting for the implementation of the single-use plastic directive, implementation of the deposit system in Poland, implementation of the extent producer responsibility system, and the new national waste management plan. Thanks a lot for this presentation of the main rules.
Okay, thank you for this first presentation, and now we are waiting for hearing what you have to say in your second presentation, presenting your company experience.
Yes, my company experience is it's of course is okay.
Yeah, we can see it. We don't have any question for now, but we wait for the end of your second presentation.
Yes, of course.
Collecting all the questions.
Yes, history of management and city cleaning. The first mayor of the city Kraków Joseph established the divided some decided to services and deal with the cleaning of the city within the structure of the city hall. He dedicated some 30 people to clean the city in 1866. The next mayor, Julius Leo, established a separate company in 1906. Separate department in the city council, the city, and in 1951 we changed the name and established the separate company, municipal cleaning company. At that time was, of course, the state company because of the communistic time. In 1951, you have separate company, the same name like today. So in 1992 we changed from the state company to the municipal, to the limited company. We are a limited company up to now, according to the commercial law. 100% of share it's belong to the municipality of the Krakow. We are absolutely 100% municipal company. And this day, currently, we have 1,000 employees. And when we consider together with the subcontractors, it's about 2,000 employees, people, workers deal with the cleaning of the city, cleaning and waste management. So, of course, we have we get some ISO norms. We have the main mission, strategy about the cleaning of the streets, cleaning of the area, and management of the wastes in the Krakow. What I showed before, after 2012, we absolutely changed. Until 2012, we have the normal company, working on the free market company. After 2012, we changed our structure. We change of the employees, and we stay of the in-house.
I'm
No.
sorry, I'm not sure you are showing the slides because we can always see just the cover.
Un moment.
Okay, now it
Okay.
works.
Now we have two agreements between the municipality Krakow and the municipal cleaning company. My company is regulate the cleaning of the city and the waste management. We updated this agreement every year. We change the price of the disposal of the wastes or cleaning of the city during the winter of the summertime. So, in integrated waste management system in Krakow, it's operating from 2012, and we are the management. The system is managed by my company from 2013. We are responsible for this system. The Krakow city of the Krakow, it's the strategic level of this system, and we have the operation management level. So integrated municipal waste management system is a lot of the elements. It's on this slide you can see the circulation on information of legal regulation. So we coordinate, we manage all law side of the waste management system. We consider European Union law, national law, martial law, and we prepare the local acts, a local resolution. We coordinate the work with the departments of the city hall. We coordinate this law with the citizen, with the company, and we prepare the local resolution to the city council. In this case, we have the special lawyer departments, and we hear the lawyer from the outside and prepare this resolution. We are responsible for the financial flow. We calculate the cost of this system. We calculate the fee for the citizen. We provide the agreements between the companies, recyclers, companies which are collecting the wastes, and so on. And we are responsible for the financial balance of the system every year, because we finish year, they start the next one, and we are responsible for the loss or profit. So, of course, the most important is the waste cycle. So we prepare and we manage all the installation of and this flow of the waste from the citizen via all sorting plant or some installation, and from the recycling, and this system we manage. So what I mentioned before, each property owners and in the case of multi-family housing property manager is obligated to complete and submit a declaration. We not pay for the kilograms, for the tons. We pay for, in the Krakow, we choose the numbers of the people living in the houses. And the cost for the one person per month is 0.5 euro for all system. In the case on uninhabited properties, the cost is 4.8 euro per container, 1.1 cubic meters. It's paid for months. The segregation is obligatory in Poland in the property owner who was not completed with the obligatory of the separately collected waste is a double fee is charged. So we pay this property pay double of the fee. All the system, the collection, sorting plants, composting plant, incineration plant, education, all this controlling system, its cost, we calculate for this cost for one person, 27 zloty, it means 5.8 euro per month. It covers all this cost. Of course, the same methods in the Poland, like in the Krakow, we have the selective waste collection on the properties. We have the multi-waste selective collection points. Every citizen of the Krakow can bring here all kinds of the wastes, hazardous, the wooden, demolition, electronic devices. On the city, we have the special selective waste collection point in the public places. It's dedicated to the tourists. Of course, we have the special program for the citizen. It's absolutely free. It's covered, this program, by this monthly fee. Bulky waste collection. We, by the phone, practically we collect this old furniture. Green waste collection. One a week we collect the green wastes from the old properties in Krakow. Electro waste collection. It's collection that people can deliver this to the point, but we have the special team, and this guy take this electric waste directly from the flat, from the house. You have the same program from the textile collection. If you have a lot of the textile, the bags of the textiles, we collect from the houses. We have the special boxes for hazardous waste collection. The small hazardous waste like the medicine, battery, some small mobile phone, bulbs. The people can lift these devices in the shopping malls, for example, in front of the city hall. Of course, we have this or plants. Is the chart of the main plants in the OR system. Practically all belong to my company, and only incarnation plan belong to the municipal company, sister company, the holding company. We operate. We are owners of this plant. We have the sorting plan for selectively collected waste. You can see the picture of this plant is some modern installation for this all bags, all yellow, green, blue beans, the paper. It's the glass, plastic, metal. It is additional separate by using by this equipment. The residual waste we put on this and then another sorting plant, because 10% from residual waste we can take the plastic, paper, the packaging wastes. Because of that, we use the second sorting plan for this kind of the wastes. You have special plans for disassemble, plan for bulky waste and e-waste. So we disassemble the computer, TV set, the washing machine, of course, and the furniture. We have the composting plan. We use the green wastes. We producing only the compost, using for the green area in the city. So we have, of course, the generation plan in the Krakow. Landfill with the biogas recovery installation. We deposit on the landfill less than 3% of the municipal waste producing in the Krakow. When we produce in all city, we produce 360 and 70,000 tons per year. We deposit only 8,000 tons per year. The rest we reuse, we recycling, or the rest we burn in the incineration plant. So this ratio, recycling levels of secondary raw materials obtained in Krakow up to 2020 in the red dot. You can you have the requirement of the minimum level. We recover in the last year on the old law almost 70% of recycling of the metal, paper, glass, and plastic. It was almost 70%. We reuse, we recycling. From 2021, when we calculate all amount of the wastes, we obtain 28%. In the level recovery level is 20%. You can see the absolutely very difficult and very tough way to obtain 65% in 2035. In 2025, we can obtain 55%. We should building the new installation for obtaining this requirement level. So it's this very similar situation, but it's not the problem for us. It's demolition waste recycling levels. We 100% practically we recycling this demolition wastes, and we practically not storage the biodegradable wastes on the landfill. All we using and we producing the biogas and from the kitchen waste or the on the compost in the composting plant. So in some figures, some data about the effect of the recovery of the recycling materials, because we very often we use some percentage, 30, 45, etc. But in the real data, in 2021, over 18,000 tons of paper we recover in Krakow. This is equivalent of 315,000 trees. We save this amount of the trees. Recovery grass in 2021 is 16,000 tons we recover, and it's can be used to the producing of 55 million new bottles. And we calculate in this kind of the methods in the biogas, 19,000 tons we using for producing on the biogas from the kitchen waste, in only less than 10% of collecting waste. Collected waste is located on the landfill. Is the real data of our activity. Of course, we have the special methods of the support of the management. We have a special IT system for control the trucks, control the bins, and control the property owners, and so because it's a very important to obtain this recycling value. You have the special department for control of each properties together with the municipal police. You can see on the picture we control from 2013 every properties, and we ask about the quality of and we control the quality of the sorting, the quality of the bins, the cleaning around the bins. Of course, we have the special program for the circular economy. From 2014, we built some. On the left picture, you can see the nest boxes from the wooden. Of course, we recover the wooden from the wastes, and we build this with nest boxes. You have the special point, the Krakow exchange of the old books, maps, magazines. And we start with the Krakow Furniture Workshop. We renovation repair of worn-out furniture donated as the part of waste collection, and we make it available to willing residents of Krakow. So we repair this furniture, and we start some special action to sell this old furniture. It's all the cost we cover from the fee. People not pay for this one. And the new program, new investment program for the new circular economy is a new center of recycling and municipal waste in Krakow. In the orange area is the first stage of this investment. We start in this year, and we plan to finish 2024 the installation for recovery for producing the. I can show you some regranulate from the plastic bags. We producing in the Poland the war, when we mentioned before, a lot of the plastic bags, and we start implemented technology producing the regranulate 10,000 ton per year from the PE plastic bags, and probably we use this regranulate for maybe we'll sell, maybe we're producing them for maybe for the beans. I don't know. We have no plan at this moment. Of course, we have education, the education system, the modern equipment education rooms, a model presenting of the functioning of the integrated waste management system, and the educational garden with a special design stands give the opportunity to conduct interesting educational workshops for different age of groups. We calculate it's about 20,000 children participants took place in this program before the COVID. This is of course, but now we start again in 2022, and we have the special program for all for the youngest education activity. There's some competition for the created some classes. Some we have to place with the municipal environmental events. We have the we publish some special materials for the residents of Krakow. Of course, we created the films for the residents of Krakow. It's possible to see on YouTube. Of course, you have the special search engine to search. It's the people have the problem which kind of the for example, in which color, which beans I can throw out some plastic bottle that all some problematic wastes. The people writes the name of the wastes, and this engine show which beans you can use for disposal of the wastes. Thank you for your attention about the present of my company.
So thank you, Dr. Kabaciński, for this very informative presentation, both of them. We have some questions for you. The first one is from Mai Uronkao. They would like to know what are popular disadvantages of using extended producer responsibility law in Southeast Asia country such as Vietnam.
So it's for us it's a very important regulation. Why? And in Vietnam it will be the same, in my opinion. Imagine the municipality are responsible for the waste management, for the packaging, for the bottle, for example, and the people pay. Every citizen pay for the disposal of this packaging. Imagine you have the bottle consists with the three kind of the material, PE, the metal, paper together. The cost of the disposal of this material is very high. It's in this case, if the responsible for the producer, okay, you can launch this kind of the bottle, but you can pay for this one because it's a very sophisticated, it's a very expensive to manage of this bottle. In this case, the fee when is a very good level of the responsible of the producer will pay for the municipality for disposal of this kind of the wastes. In this case, the citizen in Vietnam, in Poland, everywhere will pay less. Will pay less for the municipality. the producer will cover the cost of the management of this kind of the wastes. Of course, in the environmental issue, is the best way. It's with the one kind of the material. It's the simple solution, but in the real life, you have the multi-material packaging. It costs a lot. We have no technology for this one. We will pay the punishment for not obtain the recovery standards limits, and because of that, okay, we'll build the recycling installation, the factory, but we need the money. Produce the company which launched this packaging, you should participate the cost of this municipal waste management system in Poland, in Vietnam, everywhere.
Yeah, and cost is indeed a very important issue. In fact, the second question is about the cost. Well, the fee of waste collection in Vietnam is around €1 per family per month. So it is not attractive to any private company, and this is considered a difficulty in Vietnam. How is about waste collection fee in Krakow?
Its collection fee, it's a very interesting question. Its collection fee for the one person in Krakow is almost 5.6 euro, less than 6 euro. For family, we multiply by 3, it's 18 euro per month per family. It's, of course, it's not, it's compared to the Vietnam, it's a lot of the money. When we compare the rest of the country, of the cities in Poland, is not the huge level of the fee when you consider how many services you have for the citizen. But you can start with the simple services. The most important is collection from kind of the municipal wastes from the owners, from the property owners, from the blocks, and start to implement the sorting, to separate in the properties. Not maybe 5 beans, maybe 2 beans, maybe 3 beans, but start from the lower price. Because if you compare, I say get general, if you compare the cost of the fee of the higher of the fee of the municipality, like Krakow, when we as the municipal company manage of this system, is the lower when we compare, for example, to another country where it's completely free market. Yes, it's a completely free market because we are controlled by the municipality. We have the limit of the profit 6%, because we are practically every year we obtain only 1-2%, not more, because city control. No, for us the most important thing is the quality of the services, of course, yes, but the price is the most important. When we compare with the Krakow, with the 6 euro in the another municipality, and it's about 10-11. Why? Because we are controlled by municipality. When we reducing the numbers of the services, the cost will be not the 6, maybe 3 euro per person, 9 euro per family. But some years ago, when we start 2012, the cost will be 3 euro by person. Now we have 6 because of the cost of the fuel, because of the manpower of the workforce, etc. But when you implement some very simple methods, I think it will be enough. That maybe will be good to start this simple methods of the sorting.
Thank you. So we don't have any questions anymore, but many comments, positive comments, and many participants thank you for the very useful presentation. I think you provided really some material to work on. So finally, we have one last question to Dr. Ricci. In particular, they want to know something about circular economy policies issued by European Commission. Dr. Ricci, please.
Yes, thank you for the question. And let me say, first of all, that with the notion of circular economy, we refer to a production and consumption model aimed at reducing natural resource waste. The circular economy, in particular, is based on a series of initiatives, among which those of the existing materials and products, sharing, reusing, repairing, and recycling for as long as possible. The main objective of circular economy is that of the waste amount reduction, which is pursued in a variety of ways. For example, we can think to the prevention during good design and goods production, or to the selection of processing waste that can be qualified as byproducts, or finally to the spread of recycling and of recovery processes. We must say that circular economy contributes to the climate neutrality and to the dissociation of economic growth from resources exploitation. And as specific regard to the question, public powers have a central role in inducing linear economy overcoming, and the European Commission, in particular, wants to establish a wide range of sustainability principles. And we can classify these principles and these initiatives into four categories. We can refer in particular to the communication of the Commission number 98 of 2020, with which were set a numbers of initiatives. And we can classify, as I said, these initiatives in four categories. First, we have that of environmentally friendly products from the design phase. And the main initiatives in this sense are that of the introduction of a product as service model. So manufacturers must retain product ownership or product performance responsibility throughout the product life cycle. Or we can think about the provision of criteria for environmentally friendly products identifications, giving the priority to products group belonging to certain value chains, for example, electronics. And finally, we can think to the provision of a review of the Eco-Design Directive for energy-related products. This is actually the directive number 125 of 2009, implemented by in Italy by legislative decree number 102 of 2014. Second, the Commission wants to enabling consumers and public purchasers to make informed choice. For example, through a review of EU legislation oriented towards a number of objectives. We can think, for example, of an EU eco-label brand update by integrating a series of methods such as, for example, that of information received at the point of sale about product lifetime and about repair services. Or we can think to the inclusion of durability, recyclability, and recycled content indication among the EU eco-label achievement criteria. The third group of initiatives adopted by the European Commission is the strengthening the circularity of production processes. And for example, the Commission wants to amend the Industrial Emissions Directive, or it wants to promote the sustainable and circular bioeconomy sector. Finally, the fourth group of initiatives are about the creation of an efficient EU secondary raw material market. And for example, EU Commission wants to establish a secondary material market observatory, or wants to introduce a waste export regulation and some restrictions on the use of very high concern substances in products. So the time available to me does not me allow to further explore the topic, but I hope I have drawn a sufficiently clear framework about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ricci. So I don't see any further question for our speakers, which I would like to thank you for the contribution they gave today to this webinar. I would also like to thank very much the participants from Vietnam, especially the ones belonging to public sector. Today we shared some experience about how some European countries deal with waste management policies and regulation. I really hope you found this information useful, and I invite you to follow the project activities, to visit our website, and to stay informed about the other events and activities we are going to implement for the next year, like for example the activities that we organize within EcoCampus pilot project, and other events dedicated to stakeholders, both in presence and online. I invite you to follow us also on our social media. You will find all the information about the project on the website, and also the registration of this webinar will be available on the YouTube channel. So I thank you again for the participation, and I wish you a nice afternoon in Vietnam and a nice day in Europe. Goodbye.